There comes a moment on the twin flame journey that feels like a void, when the energetic connection fades and you're left in silence. It's not just distance or lack of communication, it's the sudden stillness in a bond that once roared with intensity. Many interpret this as loss, as abandonment, or even failure. But what if this silence is a message? A sacred transition rather than an ending? In the depths of this stillness lies a deeper spiritual truth, one rooted in the psychology of Jung. The absence of energy is not a disappearance, but an invitation to turn inward, to face the self, and to awaken a transformation that goes beyond the romantic ideal. If you're no longer feeling your twin flame's energy, this moment might hold more meaning than you ever imagined. If you're ready to understand the silence, comment below. I trust the journey within. Jung's analytical psychology offers profound insight into what truly unfolds when you no longer feel your twin flame's energy. At the core of Jung's work lies the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole by integrating unconscious aspects of the self. In the context of the twin flame experience, this fading of energy isn't necessarily about disconnection from the other, but rather a redirection toward the self. Jung believed that relationships, especially those with intense emotional resonance, act as mirrors. The other reflects our own unconscious material, what he called the shadow. When the energy from your twin flame disappears, it may signal that you've reached a threshold in your psychological development. The mirror has done its job. Now you're being called to integrate what was once projected onto the other. Projections are central in Jungian psychology. Often the twin flame carries the image of our inner opposite, the anima or animus, which represents the feminine in the male psyche and the masculine in the female psyche. When the energetic bond goes quiet, it may indicate a shift, that you're ready to reclaim this inner image, no longer needing to externalize it. This silence, then, is not abandonment, but evolution. It's an initiation into deeper inner work, where the connection you once felt externally must now be cultivated within. The transformation involves facing your shadow, embracing your inner masculine or feminine, and stepping into a new phase of individuation. Jung didn't speak of twin flames directly, but his work on soulmates, the inner self, and psychological wholeness aligns with the spiritual truths behind this experience. Losing the energy doesn't mean losing the bond. It may mean you're finally ready to meet yourself. One of the most disorienting experiences on the twin flame path is the sudden absence of the other's energy. For those who have grown accustomed to sensing their counterpart across time and space, feeling their presence like an energetic heartbeat, the quiet can feel like abandonment, or worse, disconnection from destiny itself. But this sense of loss often stems not from spiritual truth but from a subtle illusion, the illusion of energetic dependence. Jung spoke of the ego's deep yearning for completion through the other. In our unconscious search for wholeness, we often project our unmet aspects onto a significant person, especially someone who seems to reflect our soul's depths. The intensity of the twin flame bond is frequently magnified by this projection. When we feel their energy, we are not only connecting with another human being, we are engaging with the symbolic presence of something we feel we lack within ourselves. But projection, no matter how spiritually wrapped, is still projection. As long as we rely on the presence of the other to feel whole, we remain trapped in a cycle that ultimately impedes the individuation process Jung so often emphasized. The ego, clinging to the sensation of connection, resists facing the terrifying possibility that the source of love, power, and meaning might actually reside within. When the energy of the twin flame dissipates, it is often because the psyche is ready to transition. What was once projected outward must now be reclaimed. This is not a punishment or failure. It is a spiritual invitation, a summons to develop inner autonomy. The disappearance of the other's energy is not a void. It is space. Space to breathe, to grow, to meet the inner self without leaning on the presence of another to feel real. Energetic dependence, no matter how divinely framed, can become a spiritual bypass. It delays the encounter with one's own unconscious, which Jung saw as the source of transformation. When you can't feel your twin flame anymore, life may be asking you to stop seeking externally what can only be stabilized internally. You are not being left behind, you are being handed back to yourself. Inner autonomy does not mean detachment from love, nor does it mean giving up on the connection. Instead, it means anchoring yourself so fully in your own soul that you are no longer thrown off balance by the presence or absence of another. It is the shift from longing to embodiment, from seeking to becoming. Jung's concept of the self, the archetype of totality and the central organizing force of the psyche, suggests that our true goal is not to merge with another, but to align with the self. Every meaningful relationship, especially one as charged as a twin flame connection, ultimately points us toward this greater wholeness. If you've lost the energetic thread, it may be because you're now being guided toward the deeper, fuller thread of your own being. This isn't the end of the story. Often the most potent connections return in new form once we've undergone this inner initiation. But the reunion is no longer built on the fragile foundation of need. It's rooted in conscious love, a love that doesn't seek to possess or complete, but to witness and expand. So when the energy goes quiet, do not panic. Sit in the silence. Feel what arises. You may discover that beneath the longing is a deeper call, to stand whole and sovereign in your own light. That is the call of individuation. That is the purpose hidden in the pause. When the connection to your twin flame fades, what follows is often a sense of inner disorientation. It feels like something vital has gone missing, not just a person, but a part of yourself. And in many ways, that's exactly what has happened. Not because they've taken something from you, but because their energetic presence had been acting as a mirror, reflecting something you hadn't yet integrated, your shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is the part of the unconscious mind that contains all the aspects of ourselves we reject, repress, or deny. It holds both what we consider negative traits, jealousy, insecurity, rage, and sometimes even our hidden talents, desires, and power. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the part of the self we haven't yet dared to claim. And one of the most potent ways we encounter the shadow is through relationships, especially the ones that shake us to our core. The twin flame bond often awakens intense emotions, unconditional love, obsession, fear of abandonment, euphoria, despair. These feelings are not only about the other person, they are signals of what lies buried within. The other becomes a screen onto which we project our unlived stories and unconscious patterns. But when that screen goes blank, when we stop feeling their energy, the psyche forces us to turn our gaze inward. And what we find there is often what we were avoiding all along. The silence is not empty. It's full of the things you haven't faced. The longing you feel may not only be for the other person. It may be a cry from the parts of you that have been exiled into your unconscious. This is where the shadow becomes active, whispering through dreams, anxiety, numbness, or compulsions. And it's precisely at this threshold that real transformation begins. According to Jung, the integration of the shadow is essential for psychological wholeness. You cannot become who you truly are without facing what you've refused to see. The disappearance of your twin flame's energy often marks the beginning of this confrontation. With their presence gone, the projections collapse. You're left alone with yourself, and the self doesn't lie. The anger you feel might be unexpressed rage from past betrayals. The sadness could be tied to childhood wounds that have been seeking resolution. The fear of being alone might expose a deep, unconscious belief that you are unworthy of love unless someone else affirms it. All of these elements, left unexamined, distort not only your perception of others, but also your relationship with your own soul. The ego resists this process because it disrupts the fantasy. It's far easier to blame the other person for leaving or disconnecting than it is to admit that their absence is revealing something we need to address in ourselves. But Jungian work is not about ease. It's about depth, and depth requires courage, the courage to see what lives in the dark. In the absence of the twin flame's energy, you are invited into a sacred alchemical process. Here, the silence becomes a crucible in which you can face and transmute your shadow material. This might involve grieving old pain, questioning the narratives you've built around love, or confronting your own control patterns and fears. It may be messy. It will not be instant, but it is real, and it is necessary. This phase isn't about fixing yourself, it's about reclaiming yourself. The more shadow you integrate, the less power it has over you. And paradoxically, the more you own your darkness, the more light you can hold. Jung reminded us that enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So if the energetic bond has gone silent, ask yourself, what am I being asked to see? What pain, power, or truth have I projected onto the other that now demands recognition within myself? The silence is not a punishment. It's an initiation into your own depths. The twin flames retreat is often your soul's advance. One of Carl Jung's most enduring contributions to the understanding of human psychology is the concept of the anima and animus, the unconscious inner opposite present within each individual. For Jung, every man carries within him an anima, the feminine dimension of his soul, while every woman contains an animus, the masculine counterpart. These archetypes are not merely psychological constructs. They are dynamic forces within the psyche that influence how we relate to others, especially those who seem to awaken deep, magnetic, and often inexplicable emotional responses. In the context of the twin flame experience, these archetypes are powerfully at play. Often what we perceive in the twin flame is not simply their essence, but a vivid projection of our inner opposite. The man sees the woman through the lens of his anima, as the embodiment of beauty, mystery, feeling, and soul. The woman experiences the man as her animus, the force of strength, intellect, will, and purpose. This mutual projection creates an intense energetic field that feels transcendent, timeless, and fated. But the truth, Jung reminds us, is more complex. Projection is an unconscious process. We do not know we are doing it. We feel the emotion, we are drawn to the person, we believe it is all about them. Yet much of what we are captivated by is already within us, disowned, unrecognized, and waiting to be integrated. The sudden disappearance of your twin flame's energy may not be a sign of loss, but rather a sign that your psyche is calling back the projection. The image you cast onto the other has served its purpose. Now, it must be withdrawn, examined, and reclaimed. This withdrawal is not painless. It can feel like death. The idealized figure, the dream of perfect union, the sense of spiritual completion, all seem to shatter. But in that breaking is the beginning of true wholeness. The anima or animus projection is not meant to remain external. It is a bridge, one that leads you back to your own soul. When a man integrates his anima, he reconnects with the depths of his feeling, his intuition, his vulnerability, and his capacity for emotional truth. He becomes more whole, not by merging with a woman, but by reclaiming the feminine within himself. When a woman integrates her animus, she awakens her inner voice, her confidence, her discernment, and her power to act in the world, not through dependence on a man, but by embodying her own inner masculine. The twin flame's energetic silence is often the psyche's way of creating space for this internal alchemy. As long as the projection remains active, the work cannot be done. We stay externally focused, believing our growth lies in union with the other. But the deeper truth is that the union must first occur within. Only then can external relationships reflect the inner wholeness we've achieved. Jung warned that if the projection is not withdrawn, it can lead to obsession, delusion, or dependency. The fantasy becomes more real than reality. But when we consciously begin the process of re-owning what we've projected, recognizing that the other merely mirrored what was dormant within us, we step into the sacred terrain of individuation. This doesn't mean the bond was meaningless. On the contrary, it was profoundly necessary. The twin flame awakens the inner archetypes, catalyzes psychological development, and serves as the doorway to spiritual integration. But it is never the destination. The loss of their energy may be your soul's way of closing the door to fantasy so that the true inner work can begin. In time, as the anima or animus becomes conscious, we feel more balanced, more rooted in our own identity. We no longer need the other to feel alive, beautiful, powerful, or safe. We begin to embody those qualities ourselves, and from that place of inner harmony, our external relationships shift, sometimes drawing the twin flame back, but no longer as an illusion. They return, if they do, as a partner in truth, not projection. So if the energy is gone, consider what inner masculine or feminine qualities you are now being called to reclaim. This is not the end. It is a turning inward, toward integration. What was once placed on the other must now be found in you. There is a sacred intelligence behind the moment when your twin flame's energy disappears. What feels like abandonment or rejection on the surface may, in truth, be the most profound spiritual initiation of your life. At the heart of Carl Jung's philosophy is the idea of individuation, the process by which the individual becomes whole, not through external union, but through the integration of all aspects of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. The loss of energetic contact, far from a mistake or punishment, is often the soul's invitation to embark on this deeper journey. Individuation demands separation. It requires a break from illusion, dependency, and the comforting mirroring of the other. In the initial phases of a twin flame connection, we experience an overwhelming sense of recognition. The other seems to know us, see us, complete us. But this is a psychological trick of projection. The other becomes the carrier of everything we do not yet recognize in ourselves. As long as the energetic thread remains strong, we often remain fixated on the relationship instead of the deeper truth it is pointing to, the call to become whole in ourselves. When that thread fades, we are confronted with an internal emptiness. This void is not a punishment. It is the silence that precedes transformation. In Jungian terms, this is the moment when the self, the organizing center of the psyche, begins to call us inward. No longer satisfied with living through another, it now asks us to retrieve our projections, face our shadow, and integrate our inner masculine and feminine. This work cannot be done in the noise of emotional obsession. It requires stillness, and so the energy disappears. The higher purpose of this disconnect is the creation of psychic space. It is a clearing, a dissolution of distractions, so that the real inner work can unfold. Without the distraction of constant energetic feedback, you are left with the truth of yourself. Here you must begin to ask the deeper questions. Who am I when I am not connected to them? What qualities have I been attributing to them that are actually mine to develop? What does it mean to love without needing to possess? Individuation is not the rejection of love, it is the maturation of it. Jung made clear that true relationship only becomes possible when two whole individuals meet, not to complete each other, but to walk alongside each other as equals. The energetic bond, while beautiful and mystical, often holds us in a state of longing and incompletion. The disappearance of that energy may be the soul's way of ending the fantasy and beginning the real path. This path leads not to someone else, but to the self. It is in this journey that the archetypes of the psyche begin to integrate. The ego softens its grip. The unconscious is no longer feared. The inner world becomes more alive than the projections we cast onto others. And in this place, something remarkable happens. The longing turns into presence, the pain into wisdom, the silence into truth. One of the most misunderstood aspects of individuation is that it feels, at first, like loss. But what is being lost is not the connection itself. It is the illusion that you needed the other to be whole. This is a death of the false self, and like all deaths in the psyche, it gives birth to something greater. In the ashes of what you thought love was, you find what love truly is. Not dependency, not projection, not need, but conscious presence. And this presence begins with the self. If the energetic bond returns after this process, it will be transformed. It will no longer be a tether, but a choice. You will not be pulled by invisible strings, but will stand as a sovereign being, capable of love without attachment, union without fusion. And if it does not return, you will still be whole, because the purpose was never external union. The purpose was the evolution of your soul. The higher purpose of the energetic disconnect is your awakening. It is not about them. It never was. It was always about you, your healing, your integration, your becoming. And now, without distraction, that journey can finally begin. When the energy of your twin flame fades, it's easy to believe something has gone wrong. But from a deeper Jungian perspective, this silence is a turning point, a sacred threshold in your evolution. What may feel like loss is in truth an invitation to wholeness. It signals the beginning of the real work, integrating your shadow, withdrawing projections, embracing your inner feminine or masculine, and stepping into the process of individuation. The bond may have sparked your awakening, but it is your own soul that carries you forward. This journey is not about clinging to connection. It's about becoming the kind of person who no longer needs to be found because they have found themselves. The stillness isn't abandonment. It is a return to truth, to self, to source. If you've reached this point, you're not alone. You're on the edge of transformation. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and watch the video on screen to continue your inner journey. There's power in understanding and even more in integration. You're not being left behind. You're being called forward into your deepest becoming.